Right, 28 October 2024, and I would like to apologize for the late start, but it's all worth it. We have our special guest, Mr. Tinashe Jonas. How are you, sir?
You know how excited I am whenever I get an invitation to be on the most trending platform, political platform of
Thank you very
Zimbabwe.
much. Thank you, Mr. Jonas. And your videos are going far and wide, and the information that you are sharing is being taken seriously at levels that you cannot believe. All of SADC is watching what you're saying, and I hope that today you'll be able to provide the necessary information. The people in Botswana are going to the elections on the 30th. So this is very relevant, and a lot of people are looking at what you're saying right now and making decisions based on it. So without wasting much more time, please take us through the information that you have.
Okay, the information I have is contained in a strategic document called the Chairman. The Chairman is a master plan document crafted by the Office of the President of Zimbabwe. We call it OPC, Office of the President and Cabinet, run under the Directorate of CIO, because technically the Office of the President of Zimbabwe is divided into two: Cabinet and the Office, which is the Intelligence. So the Cabinet obviously is captured by it's one department of the government which is working, which is the Intelligence, that encompasses everything. What happened started as a discussion under the counterintelligence department of CIO. The discussion was provoked by the reaction of I forgot comrade from Zambia who was in charge of the election observing team in Zimbabwe. You remember his name?
Yes, I remember the Mozambican,
No,
the Zambian
no. Yes, who was in charge of the SADC
CEO.
commission for election? Who?
I mean the SADC SIOM report for Zambia.
Yes, the one who was the head, who commented that the election was not free and fair.
Okay, I think I'll have to find the name.
Yes, when it was for the first time that SADC claimed boldly that the elections in Zimbabwe were rigged, and then the intelligence of Zimbabwe panicked, because on record in SADC it was former president of Botswana, President Ian Khama, who was always against the abuse of human rights and election rigging in Zimbabwe by the former late president, may his soul rest in peace, Comrade R.G. Mugabe. So there was one president from SADC who was against the oppression and dictatorship in Zimbabwe. But obviously ZANU-PF and the CIO were not panicking, because one out of the whole bunch of SADC, obviously that's not an influence. When the election was declared rigged, the CIO panicked, and then a discussion was done that now that ED doesn't want to rule Zimbabwe up to 2030. ED wants to rule Zimbabwe. He wants to be a life president, so that even if he is incapacitated, he would want to be a godfather where he can even appoint presidents. While he is like ED wants to run Zimbabwe as a kingdom, so the plan is to make him a life president. Now, as a life president of Zimbabwe, other countries would then join the chorus of dictatorship. So this master plan document called the Chairman was created in response to that fear. Now, what is the plan? The plan is to help every a president in SADC region who is on the verge of losing power. Why? So that if you are about to lose power and you are helped by the CIO to rig your election, you instead of taking ED as a dictator in SADC, they would take him as a godfather. How is that plan going to be executed? First, the CIO would identify a country through their embassy, a country that is about to hold election, and use their intelligence data to predict the outcome of the election. And then through the ambassador, approach the president and brief him that is on the verge of losing power. When he panics, he would then be told by the ambassador of Zimbabwe how to join the CIO, him as a person, so that he will be under the CIO of Zimbabwe and managed and handled. His handlers would be Isaac Moyo / ED. How is this plan going to benefit ED? ED is going to then to invest in that country and obviously plunder the resources in that country, because they would be godfathers of his presidency, because he would have joined the CIO. So it started with the first term of the second term of Nyusi, the former Mozambican president. That's how the strategy was first implemented. The election of Mozambique, many ballot boxes were people were voting in Masvingo. Zimbabweans were voting in Masvingo, and the sealed ballot boxes went to Mozambique, and the CIO was running that election. The command center was the CIO, and the election was rigged. After that, it's now Botswana. The Independent Election Commission of Botswana was then invited to Zimbabwe by the CIO, because we all know that ZECI is never an organization. The person who runs ZECI is Isaac Moyo directly. Those ones who are called commissioners, whatever, they are just summoned to the office and told what to do. They don't have a say. Then the IEC of Botswana was called to Zimbabwe. They called it benchmarking. How would you a serious commission of elections in a country like Botswana want to be taught how to run elections by ZECI, when we know that in 2018 ZECI had 3 different results, and last year everyone condemned the elections? Now, and a civil organization from Botswana can't work with an intelligence agency of Zimbabwe. No. So how the IEC was taught to make sure the Directorate of Intelligence and Security, DIS, the intelligence of Botswana, should run the elections. How to do that? Number one, the commission must be people who are incorporated into the intelligence, DIC. Those who refuse, they must be fired or redeployed somewhere. Now, secondly, the judges of High Court, to if there's a petition from a dispute from the opposition, the judge to preside in the High Court must be a member of the DIS. And then there's the Supreme Court or the Constitutional Court, whatever, the highest court in Botswana, to sit on the issue must also be the members of the DIS. And those who would be transporting the command center, everything must be under the intelligence. So the A to Z of the election in Botswana, the master plan is DIS. No civilian must be found in that system. That's the main rigging. Then the other one is to make sure that the electronic voters roll is the opposition would get it a few days before the election, so that they can't qualitatively or I mean pick up the the cheating. The other rigging method is on special votes. Embassy workers across the world, opposition must not know how many workers of in the foreign department, how many are they? Let's say there are 10,000, but the votes can come as 100,000. Then including the intelligence, DIS, special votes, the army, the number must be very inflated. And the Zimbabweans in Botswana, especially Masezuru and other Zimbabweans, must be given Botswana Oman, the Botswana ID and the vote. But let's say there are 5,000 provided by ZANU-PF. They must then be cloned, the ID, so that one person can vote even 10 times or 20 times. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are so many. Yeah, I'm just saying the key ones. And then there's a hotel, I forgot its name. It's opposite the hotel in CBD called the Massa. There's another hotel opposite there that is acting as a command center. The CIO responsible for the Botswana elections is there now for almost 2 months. They are running that Botswana election as we speak. So that was the same as in Mozambique. The current president of Mozambique is now a member of the Central Intelligence Organization of Zimbabwe, and his handlers is Isaac Moyo, the Director General of the Zimbabwe CIO. And through our ambassador in Mozambique, Comrade Matema Danda, the CIO was in Mozambique more than 4 or 5 months ago. They've got a command center. They are the ones who are running the command center, and all the instructions to shoot, to do what, it's the CIO of Zimbabwe who was running the elections. Your viewers would agree that the chairman of SADC, Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, the illegitimate president of Zimbabwe, congratulated the presidential elect of Mozambique before the Independent Election Commission of Mozambique announced the official results. That was telling. It means him as the boss of the CIO was already knowing the final results before Mozambicans, even opposition, when knowing the official results. So he congratulated the Chapo because he knew, because the CIO, they announced the election results, which it doesn't tally with the ballot. That if there's elections in Zimbabwe in 2028, the results are already there. So the result of Botswana elections is already out, but it's only known by Isaac Moyo and the team in Botswana, which is the CIO team that is running the elections, and the DIS. So there's cooperation, and the CIO is heavily involved in the Botswana election. This rigging is done because ED wanted to be a life president of Zimbabwe, not 2030. 2030 is just to test the waters. ED is planning to be a life president.
Okay. So, Mr. Jonasi, I want to thank you very much for what you've said. I want us to now test what you've said. I want us to start with the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission. So last week, there was disagreement on the commissioners of Botswana. Are you aware that this issue was taken to court and the judges ruled against the opposition?
I'm very aware.
Okay.
Because
are you also aware? Yes, I was saying, are you also aware that the electronic voters roll was not provided as requested?
I'm very aware.
Okay. Now let's talk about the hotel that you're talking about. What is the use of that hotel, and what is the role of SADC? People like Mahosi.
Okay, thank you. This hotel is a command center of the CIO. in charge of the Botswana election. I just forgot the name. And the SADC, remember SADC is the representatives are representing the member countries. And the revolutionary parties first. At the meeting, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 7 months ago or whatever in Zimbabwe, revolutionary political parties. That in that meeting, it was hosted in Zimbabwe. It was hosted by CIO. Remember, the government of Zimbabwe is. Your viewers must know that the ministers in Zimbabwe, ambassadors across the world, everyone who is a top official in the government is a CIO, is a member of the CIO. They can differ the departments. You are coming from the MID, military intelligence, counter intelligence, internal, external, whatever, but special branch. But everyone in the government with a top position is a member of the CIO, so that they are controlled by Isaac Moyo and ED. Without, if they are told jump, they ask how high. That's why you saw even in the conference of ZANU-PF that just ended, the whole conference spent millions on whiskey, on hotels, on food, just to instructed by ED. They did a conference, but the conference was done 3-4 months ago, because everyone in top ZANU-PF is a member of the CIO, so they don't have a say. So the SADC is now instructed in a way directly by Mnangagwa as a chairperson, and again, their members, their presidents, principals, they want power, and they want to they don't want to be out of power, and the switching off of machinery in South African elections was part of the CIO.
Okay, I think that is clear. So what do you suggest the opposition of Botswana should do, given this situation?
I'm proud that I've already spoken to 2 or 3 opposition parties of Botswana, and also just shared notes with them. It's very difficult. I don't know what they can do, because the A to Z is of the election, upcoming election, is run by intelligence. So the judges of High Court, the highest courts, Constitutional Supreme, would be part of the system, would be part of the DIS. So the whole system is going to be controlled by the intelligence. I don't know, but besides a revolutionary route, legally, politically, the legal and the political routes are already closed.
Okay, is it possible for them to challenge the results outside of Botswana?
They can, but that's a huge challenge, because so far as we speak, the world is divided into two: the West and the East. So in any country, if there's a dispute which is political, it's always who is under the West, who is under the East, and who is powerful at that time, the East or West. So otherwise, it goes to, is the opposition dealing with the East or dealing with the West, or how? But otherwise, the fight is bigger than an opposition political party. That's why I said they can try that, it's fine, but anything to be done inside Botswana, it will never work, if in terms of political and legal platforms, because the intelligence controls. It's unfortunate that the intelligence of SADC currently is now it constitutes the ruling party, when in other countries, intelligence, army, police, they are independent. In Zimbabwe, we all know that the police, prisons, intelligence, they are the ruling party. So it's unfortunate in Botswana, because constitutionally, when intelligence are running the ruling party, it means the constitution is captured.
Okay, what is the role of Tanzania and the chairperson of the organ?
I think, to those who follow SADC as an organization, they must then agree that SADC is corrupt, probably more than the word corruption, because A person like ED, some leaders is giving them money, and the mines claims in Zimbabwe, lithium, gold, platinum. South Africa is already benefiting at least 95% of our platinum. Our platinum is going to Rustenburg. We are paid 14% as platinum ore that is given directly to ED, and then they process it. They find 10 more minerals, gold, silver, etc. So ED is giving president of SADC claims in Zimbabwe, and even hard cash, because those resources are belonging to the state. It loses nothing. They are bribed with the money. They are bribed with the mines in Zimbabwe, because ED wants to be in power at all costs. SADC is captured and it's useless. When we talk about SADC, we are just making it famous. But as we speak right now, SADC is captured because the people at SADC, they are being given mines, and they are given money by a country that is still in power.
Okay, so let's now briefly look at all the other elections, the one in Mozambique and the one in Namibia, which is coming up in a few weeks.
I again expect the revolutionary parties in those countries to win, SWAPO to win, and if they implement the CIO strategy, they would win, because the CIO strategy is announce the results. The results, you sit down 3-4 months before the election, and then you say, where is the opposition strong? Let's give them a member of parliament or a councillor. Yeah, it's like sitting down and design the results. So the independent election commissions, they are 3 months before the elections, they would have the results to announce, different from what is in the ballot boxes.
Okay, this is very scary. How do you think it's going to go? Is Mnangagwa going to succeed with his plan?
Mnangagwa, we can't talk of him succeeding, because Mnangagwa has succeeded 90% at minimum. Why I'm saying this? Mnangagwa is the president of Zimbabwe via a coup. So if a person becomes a president via a coup, it means he captured the constitution of the country. A coup is not about the armory or the uniforms of the army. A coup means taking the constitution and putting it in your pocket. That's the definition of a coup. Or you can say suspending the constitution, or you can say ignoring the constitution of the country. That's the coup. So Mnangagwa's presidency dissolved the parliament of Zimbabwe, dissolved the constitution of Zimbabwe. So Mnangagwa, as we speak, is the constitution of the country.
Okay, how about Chiwenga? What has happened this weekend? Is Chiwenga now powerful? Is the army now powerful?
Thank you. I would want your viewers to understand that the conference of ZANU-PF was done only for Mnangagwa. That whole conference was, the main topic was just 2030. That whether the 2030 was approved or not, but it was adopted as a resolution. No one could stand up and say this is bad. Why? Because the CIO, all the people in the conference are members of the intelligence, and they've got their superiors, managers, supervisors, directors. You are told what to go and say. Even those who scream in the conference, it's staged, it's created by intelligence. They know which corner is going to scream more. Everything is stage managed. So even those ones who are not happy with Mnangagwa, they like Chiwenga, you can't raise your hand and say, I stand to oppose 2030. If you do that, in the database of ZANU-PF, your name is deleted immediately. then some people would go to ask you for your card, and if you produce it, you can be arrested even as a fake member. So you because ZANU-PF is run by intelligence officers who bow before Mnangagwa. Yes, in a way they can plan and remove Mnangagwa, yes, but they can't come out publicly. Because if you are known to be against Mnangagwa, you are likely to be fired from ZANU-PF or assassinated.
Okay, I think we need to look at this as the topic for another day. And I just want us to go through what has happened in Mozambique. Is Mnangagwa going to benefit over there? What is happening
Yes.
there? Because the opposition leader has fled.
In Mozambique, the biggest beneficiary, I mean, the person who is benefiting a lot is not even the president. Chapo will be a puppet of Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa, from the second term of Nyusi, Isaac Moyo, during my time with the past almost 5 years in the intelligence, Isaac Moyo was almost, whenever I was talking to him, he was in Mozambique. I wanted to tell your viewers that Matema Danda was not fired from commissariat of ZANU-PF. Matema Danda was the Deputy Minister of Defense, number one. Number two, he was the National Political Commissar, NPC of ZANU-PF. He was a top leader in the war veterans. In any country, a minister in defense, and then you run the mobilization and the strategy department of the ruling party, it means you are the most trusted by the president. Matema Danda was deployed in Mozambique as Mnangagwa's person, because Mnangagwa is benefiting from oil in Mozambique a lot, and the oil gas. So Matema Danda was never downgraded from ZANU-PF for government. No. Isaac Moyo is mostly in Mozambique. So Mnangagwa is a mafia in Mozambique. He has invested heavily in the oil gas and the oil.
Okay, then let's look at the Rwanda guys who are in Mozambique. They've been protecting the country.
Yeah.
They have not played a very big part in the elections. What do you think is happening there?
No, Rwanda is a political ally of Mozambique. They didn't want anarchy, but what I'm saying is, Rwanda is running under dictatorship. There's no question that in Rwanda, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the president of Rwanda won the election around 91%.
Yes.
You can tell even yourself. There's no president in a normal democracy, fair, free election who can score 90% and above. That's madness. So, SADC is a group now that is advancing dictatorship, and the other strategy of Mnangagwa to SADC under the chairman strategy is to encourage member states to join BRICS, because BRICS is run on countering the West, and secondly, BRICS is run under dictatorship of China and Russia.
Okay, then in Kenya, we had almost a similar situation. What you're describing now. Was Mnangagwa involved in Kenya?
I think you should know that Ruto and Mnangagwa are in good books in a way. What I can say is power intoxicates, and the African leaders, to be honest, they want to run for life. So on that, some countries have got powerful government institutions. Otherwise, every African leader wants to be in power forever. We all know about the leadership in Swaziland. I don't know centered on dictatorship and the pedophile tendencies. But everything is shambolic and shameful in SADC. And and SADC is spreading the whole thing into Africa, because Mnangagwa knows that Africa would condemn him, and they can even militarily intervene. Zimbabweans are suppressed. I've got a friend who wanted to do interview with the American embassy to get a visa to America. He was told it's full. He went to Namibia, and when he went to the Namibian embassy, 90% of the people who were there for visa interview were Zimbabweans. And that shows you that things are not okay. But Mnangagwa's strategy of helping other people to be dictators, it's bearing fruit. It's about oppositions are across SADC to unite, and we need this kind of Arab Springs revolution. Otherwise, nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jonasi. I just want us to summarize what you have said. You said that there's a document called the Chairman. It's a strategic document,
Yeah.
which was developed by Mnangagwa and the CIO. And Mnangagwa normally sets up, when they see that there's an election in the country, they send a team through the embassy of Zimbabwe in that country, which would do some calculations and present them to the president of that country and inform them that they will lose the election. And then they propose to them a solution, which is to join the CIO, and then they help them with the rigging of the election.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually,
and
they don't rig.
This involves,
because rigging is complex. It's just an announcement. They just announce the results.
So what do they do with the servers?
Okay. When an election is done, I will talk of Zimbabwe. They do a real election is done, so that the CIO collects the results and understand the popularity of the president and the party. Those results are used by the intelligence for their data information, and that's why you see in Zimbabwe the government doesn't care about people. The Chivayo and Scott Sakupkanya, especially Scott, is spending money like water, is spreading HIV like a hobby. People like this one, they call him who? This one, Muda, spreading HIV like blessings, like so. These people are enjoying because the country is run. They don't care about people because they've got actual data. The past election of 2023 in Zimbabwe, Chamisa won by 65%.
Okay.
Yes. So they know that they know that 35% of Zimbabweans voted for ZANU-PF. So they don't care.
Okay, I think this is very important. And in the case of Mozambique, I do agree that the results were just announced, random results. And there was also problems, the voters roll, and the results came out looking very strange. They came late and they are always contested. But after the contest, all the presidents of SADC will just accept and congratulate the ruling party.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you want to say before we close?
I just wanted to advise Zimbabweans that it's never too late to save our country. Mnangagwa is just doing two things: looting and assassinating. It's high time we should stand up and defend Zimbabwe. Each day is a day our future is being messed up. And then the opposition across SADC, we need to be united. We need to defend our human rights, and a revolution is needed. Whether it's cyber, whether it's physical, whatever, winning of election by opposition, the chances are below 10%.
Yes, Mr. Jonas, I'd like to thank you. And I feel so sorry for Botswana, because I think Botswana was one of the most promising countries in our region under President Ian Khama. Botswana was doing so well. It had the respect of all the countries out in the world. And I think ever since Masisi came in, it has been very different. Many people will agree that Botswana no longer has the respect of the international community. And what you're saying here is alarming because of what has happened in the court last week. The court ruling and the disagreement in the IEC of Botswana, which ended up with no resolution. The judges had to step in, and they still ruled in favor of the position that is not accepted. So I think that there's a big problem in Botswana already. And SADC has failed right now in Mozambique to release a report of SIOM. There's no SIOM report, unlike in Zimbabwe where they produced the report. So I tend to believe what you're saying, and I believe that it's credible. However, I don't know whether we can find a solution. That is where I think there's a problem. How do we find a solution for what is happening in SADC?
The solution, as I said, opposition must be revolutionary. These parties are saying we liberated you, we own you. In Zimbabwe, they say there's always a regime change agenda. A regime should be changed. A regime is an administration. If Donald Trump is out of power, a regime is changed. But the CIO, through the counterintelligence department, has made the Zimbabweans believe regime change is a crime.
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
So in Zimbabwe, if you want to change the government, you feel you are guilty. No, we need regime change in the SADC region, and any opposition leader must think of revolutionary ways. Because these people are saying, because what we did is we fought colonialism, we repainted our colonizers from white to black. We didn't won independence, but we changed the color of colonization from white to black. Now we need total freedom, total independence. If you are an opposition leader in SADC, the chances of winning elections are less than 10% at most. Otherwise, and there's also a strategy document we need to discuss to sponsor a coup or to even assassination of the Zambian president by the CIO. Lungu must take over. Lungu is a member of the CIO and is managed directly from the office of Mnangagwa. And we need to talk about it. Otherwise, President HH, I know even as CIOs who are working in his office and he's not aware. Those CIOs, some of them have got civic organizations in Zimbabwe. Comrade HH is in danger of being assassinated or poisoned.
Okay, I think let's make that our next discussion. I'm very concerned about President Hakainde Hichilema. So let's make that our next discussion. I would like to thank you for joining here and for giving us all this information. Thank you very much, Mr. Jonasi, and I'll see you again next week. We missed our date, so we're going to have to move back to our normal dates, which is normally Fridays.
Thank you so much for the platform.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jonasi, and I'll see you very soon.
Kuno aho bano mama wanna get it nice I know food I meso I know food I tebe I know kaya marigi Kambakwe.com Warengere.com Usasarire Anogaya mari
Kambakwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com Kambakwe vanogaya mari vanotara mari vanoziya mari Kambakwe vanotara feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanhu muterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere Kambakwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotara straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news Kambakwe.com Usasarire Kambakwe anogaya mari Kuno apo pano mamuona gere nai Kambakwe anovura meso anovura nzeve